What is it?
At a time before technology can make anything happen on the big screen, The Exorcist brings Satan to life in a way that no 3D demon ever could. It strikes at the mysteries of our traditions and beliefs.
All you're hearing are screams, people running out of the theater.
You know what she did?
In 1973, Dean Richards sees the movie at the Evergreen Park Theater. He's now WGN's entertainment reporter.
People were having heart attacks. Some theaters distributed barf bags because people were getting nauseous at some of the images that they were seeing. I think it's the scariest movie of all time because it's based in our most basic core beliefs that we've had since we were kids.
Before director William Friedkin makes the Exorcist film, he consults with psychologist Stanley Krippner.
So William Friedkin and I had a very, very pleasant talk.
Krippner gives Friedkin two options. The first is to make a movie that includes a scientific perspective that leaves the conclusions of possession up to the viewer. But Friedkin chooses the second option, a movie that accepts that someone is literally possessed by Satan.
If I do bad, is Satan going to get me? That's, I think, what really touches people so much with this movie and why it remains one of the scariest movies of all time, even though special effects have far eclipsed this movie.
Krippner tells him this version may not win over the critics, but it'll make a fortune at the box office. The character in the novel and movie is a girl, but the real story is based on a case involving a 14-year-old boy in Mount Rainier, Maryland in 1949.
Eventually, some sort of phenomena began to appear at home.
Krippner's student, Dr. Sergio Rueda, is a psychologist at a hospital in Mexico. He says he spoke to the boy on the phone many years ago. He said he had no memory of it.
Not at all. He said, I don't recall anything. People tell me that this happened to me.
Through his connections with Dr. Krippner and researchers at Duke University, Dr. Rueda obtains church documents as well as correspondence from the family's pastor related to that case. The story makes the Washington Post. Priest frees Mount Rainier boy held in devil's grip.
In the spiritual world, it's very attractive, you know. We want proof, we want to believe on that there's something beyond life, you know, that beyond death.
The basic outline of the case inspires the novel and then the movie. But the church's report, called the Jesuit Report, reveals the details. This letter is from the family's Methodist pastor, Luther Miles Schultz, to Duke psychologist Dr. J.B. Rhine. Chairs moved with him and one threw him out. His bed shook whenever he was in it. When he was in bed with me, mine vibrated. According to the Jesuit report, the picture of Christ on the wall shook. Scratching sound under the floorboards. The family asks, "Is that you, Aunt Dorothy?" The family believes deceased Aunt Dorothy is behind it all, and that it has something to do with money. The family believes she had left money hidden in a box in the attic before she died. They conduct a seance to try and find it. It's not clear if they ever do. Aunt Dorothy had introduced the boy and his family to spiritualist practices, like contacting the dead through a Ouija board. Initially, a doctor prescribed medication for epileptic seizures, but the parents will no longer bring him to doctors. As reports of strange things continue, the mother feels they're being punished for leaving the Catholic Church to convert to the Lutheran Church. They call a Catholic priest for help, and the exorcism begins. The process will last 2 months. In the Exorcist movie, the words, "Help me," spontaneously appear on the girl's stomach, but in real life, it's far less dramatic. Lewis was written on the boy's ribs in deep red. The word Saturday was written plainly on the boy's hip. Another message was printed on the boy's chest, 3.5 weeks. The mother interprets this as they have to go to St. Louis Saturday for 3.5 weeks.
Why would the demon be interested in such trivial situations, you know? most of the writings take place while he was out of the sight of his parents.
Trivial situations? The report reveals a potential explanation. The boy is bullied at school and doesn't want to go. Why St. Louis? Aunt Dorothy was from there, and the family still has relatives there living in this house. The boy and his parents travel to St. Louis and report mysterious things continue to haunt them. Comb flew violently through the air and extinguished blessed candles. A Bible was thrown directly at the feet of the boy.
The priest who performed the exorcism writes down all the events related to the family as if they were true, as if they were accurate. So they took like a crash course. And after the first night, they visited the home of the Hunklers, you know. They didn't notice, they didn't watch, they didn't witness any phenomena whatsoever.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
The family believes a Catholic baptism will help their son. The Jesuit report states, after the baptism, the prayers of the exorcism were continued. The usual spitting, gyrating, cursing, and physical violence continued until 11:30 p.m. About 3 weeks later, the exorcism continues at Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis. The Jesuit report states, at 10:45 p.m., the boy was in a seizure but lay calm. A voice broke into the prayers. Satan, Satan, I am St. Michael and I command you, Satan and the other evil spirits to leave the body. Then there were the most violent contortions of the entire period of exorcism. Perhaps this was the fight to the finish. After several minutes of violence, the boy said, "He's gone." The boy said he saw the devil standing in the cave.
From a supernatural standpoint, I didn't see a lot of discussion regarding what else this could be attributable to.
Dr. Zach Kordick says the medical field needs to be respectful of beliefs, but doctors should be consulted in the very beginning of a case.
There's different reasons that people can portray these symptoms. Sometimes it is for a secondary gain. A reason, and in his case, I just don't want to go to school. It could have been also, though, that it was more of a cry for help or a reach out for attention that he wasn't getting at home.
In the movie, the girl levitates in dramatic fashion, but in real life, only one witness reports the boy seemed to levitate, but just 2 inches.
They brought up, the bed was moving, but then there was the consideration, well, the bed was on rollers. It would be easily moved rather than a bed that was stationary on legs. They were trying to fit it into the hole that they needed to fit it into to support their theory of demonic possession.
Do psychiatrists leave the door open for possession?
That's a difficult question. I don't think so. I mean, we try to work in a scientific realm where we want to be able to have some evidence or proof of what is happening. So while the mental health community doesn't support exorcisms, we want to be respectful and open to people's cultural beliefs and backgrounds to form rapport so that we can help them.
Dr. Rueda's book is called Diabolical Possession and the Case Behind the Exorcist. 70 years later, fear of the unknown still motivates some people to believe they're caught in a supernatural struggle between good and evil. This exorcism story is far less dramatic than the movie, and when the family's backstory is examined closely, far less mysterious.